When your nervous system is overwhelmed, you can't think your way back into calm, but you can allow your body to lead you there. Let me show you a couple of grounding practices that I use with my clients all the time.
Welcome to Chiron Art Therapy. I'm Maggie Colwell, an art therapist and Jungian. Here we explore archetypal images, personal symbolism in art and dreams, and what your psyche is trying to tell you. If you're ready to dive into your inner world, you're in the right place. Subscribe, and let's begin.
We're going to focus on grounding exercises. I'm going to start a little bit with some breath and an art therapy way to start to explore this. Then we're going to go more into a guided meditation later that gets a little bit more into a symbolic realigning with the universe thing. So we're going to go from art therapy into like more of a Jungian symbolic mythic perspective. And then I'm going to show you my page just so you can see my hands working. I think that's more important than you being able to see my face at this point. What I want to start with is I've got my paper here. We're not making anything. So you don't really care what this looks like. This is a way for you to trick your brain into paying attention to something and staying focused while you're moving and breathing. I find when I have a physical anchor, whether it's a finger labyrinth, mala beads, or even being able to look at something, walking meditations like walking or labyrinths is another way that you can be physically grounded to be able to connect to things. I find it a much more feminine way of grounding. And it's a way that I can get my overactive monkey brain to stay busy with something while I'm trying to shift my mind. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just get one pastel here. And the first thing I want you to do is, if you're able to, put your feet on the floor and deeply breathe. You're thinking about connecting your weight to the floor as well as where your feet touch, and also paying attention to the sensation of where your sits bones are in your chair. So that place where you're being supported there. If you have your back against your chair, notice that as well, where that's also supporting you. And as you're breathing, make it a comfortable duration. I don't want to count this out for you. I think that's based on my count rather than your body, and I want you to be listening to your body. But think about breathing deeply down into your belly and allowing your belly to inflate and expand as you're breathing. For this one, we're going to draw some squares. So we're making box breathing visual. So you breathe in to a count of 4. Pause for a count of 4. Breathe out for a count of 4. Pause for a count of 4. Breathe in. Pause. Breathe out. Pause. And we're going to play around with this. If this shape doesn't work for you, then another way to do it would just be to do a line. Breathing in, pause, breathing out, pause. Breathing in, pause, breathing out, pause. So play around with this and decide what works for you. What is a visual and spatial way for you to connect with your breath. So I'm going to let us do this for a little while and play around with it. Yours does not have to look like mine. Figure out what makes sense to you, and I'm going to stop talking. Next one we're going to do is we're going to switch to a circle. And we're going to breathe out as you draw down on the circle. And then breathe in as you draw up. This can be circle-ish, it can be blob-ish, it can overlap or not overlap. We're not going for perfect, we're going for a visual guide. Try to do this as slow as possible. You want to be able to breathe all of your air out when you get to the bottom, and each time you do a new circle, it's getting closer to that sync between your breath and your hand. The larger the better. This kind of thing is not going to help. If this is uncomfortable or if you start to feel a little dizzy, you can either go a little bit faster or take a break. Sometimes our body is saying, I just need to breathe regularly and rest for a little while, and that counts. Paying attention to your body is way more important than following my directions. If you found some of it frustrating, you can tape the paper to the table. If you can really pay attention to what does my art material feel like in my hand? What is the texture of the paper? What does this smell like? The more of your sensory feedback that you can add to this, the more that you're going to be able to get out of it. And if it's, a lot of times I was having to change the positioning of my hand as I was doing this in a like, how can I adjust to what the materials are asking of me rather than feeling like it needs to be static and I need to control it. It's like, how can I stay in a dance with it where I'm noticing the materials or the paper move as I move so that we're having an interaction rather than trying to make it something that's static. If you like this sort of thing, I highly recommend the book Draw Breath. It's got a lot of neat little drawings that you can trace as you're breathing. So it's a fun little way to do different types of circuits and guides as you're breathing. So it can be a fun way to play with your breath. Anything that you do that completely connects you with your senses, like if you were even to just put your hands on your chair arms or on the table in front of you and say, what does this texture feel like? Can I feel it with the palm of my hand? Can I get the palm of my hand totally on the surface? And instead of just feeling with your fingertips, what does it feel like to feel with my whole hand? And allow that to move. It brings you fully into your body so that you're connecting with it in a sensory way instead of just thinking or looking or having a quick response to things. So for our next piece, I'm going to give us a visualization that you can just follow along with. And before we switch into that, I just want to ask you so that you can make note of, now that we've done some breathing, what does my head feel like? How would I describe those sensations? Does my nose or the back of my throat feel different from breathing? Do the base of my lungs feel different? Do I notice my circulation? So just keep on making note of this as you invite yourself into sensory awareness as we move throughout the rest of our session. If you want to stand up for this one, you're welcome to. It's perfectly fine to do this one seated as well. Focus on your spine and your torso connected with your tailbone, connected with your spinal cord, all the way up to the top of your head. And we're going to visualize this as the trunk of a tree. And as we connected before to the soles of our feet, as well as the base of our spine connected to our seats, imagine that as connecting deeper below you, like roots of the tree, going deep into the earth, into the darkness, into the rocks, the soil. We're always connected through gravity. The nature of our makeup says that what's below our feet is below. Wiggle your toes a little bit as if they were roots connecting down, growing into the surface, connecting with earth energy, chthonic energy. That might be the unconscious, that might be the ancestors. At one point, Jung was talking about the Kabiri, which were gnome-like earth creatures in the earth, and that we are fed by this earth energy. Pull that up. Imagine that connected root nurturing sustenance going up through your body, moving upward all the way through your torso. On each breath, it moves upwards as if you're soaking it in, drinking it in. Imagine that enlivening and nourishing you, moving down your shoulders and out your fingers like branches, leaves. Imagine it like a fountain moving through the top of your head, spilling open and raining back down like rain. Seeing that as a circuit moving down from the earth upwards through your body, cresting the top of your head and connecting you back to the earth. Now from the top of your head, connected to the air, the roof, the sky above you. In your mind's eye, see yourself as underneath the stars, underneath the sun. The original image of the Titan Atlas, he had the vault of the heavens on his back. And we have the dome of the heavens above us, the atmosphere above us, the eternal stars, the movement of the universe, the archetypes, your higher power, maybe what you consider God, all, nothing, infinity, the self. And see that sunshine and that starlight is connected to you, sparkling downward through your body, mixing with the earth energy, falling all the way through your torso down into the earth, and then rising like water vapor to complete that second circuit. Imagine what colors make sense for you: rising earth energy and falling celestial energy. Do they mix? Do they dance together? Maybe it's that double helix spiral again. And imagine what you would call your center today. Where's your consciousness? Where would you call your center of gravity? Is it at the navel, your heart, your head? Speak your name silently into that space and know that you are the center of your reality, connected to your body, connected to your sense of self, walking an earthly physical existence with the ability to interact with the archetypal forces as well. We walk in the daylight through consciousness, and at nighttime, we walk through the darkness in our dreams, the unconscious. And both of these are our realities. I want everybody to take a minute and notice again what your body feels like. Maybe wiggle your toes or take a deep breath. When you're ready, we're going to do a little bit of discussion. I want to add one more piece to this. Is one of the things I really like about how psychology connects to our body is that this concept of above us, below us, either side relates to like our physical makeup. Like our eyes face forward. Therefore, there's always a part behind that we can't see. But our, like most of us is symmetrical. Like we have a left and a right side, arms, legs, eyes, ears. So it's duplicated, kidneys, lungs, on and on, so that we have this sense of this side and that side. We can move forward or backwards, but the way we move backwards is very different than when we're walking forwards. Because we stand upright, there's an above as well. And it's just, I find this very interesting that this, like the idea of the unconscious is also specifically in our physical makeup is there's always the back of your head you can't see. I think the more we make note of that, the more it can be a symbol set that we can work with. When we relax, things get more fluid. It's so much easier. Another thing that you can use, Peter Levine has these videos where he demonstrates VU toning, VU, and it's making a vibrational noise that kind of like rattles the back of your teeth with your tongue to the tone VU, like a buzzing bee. And if you drop that tone as low as possible down into the base of your chest, it starts to activate the vagus nerve. And similarly, if you're humming while you're carrying like a cup of coffee or a bowl of soup or something like that, you'll see the surface of the liquid still if you're humming, because you're regulating. And it's that same kind of like shifting into, oh, I can relax now. Try it. It's really cool. It's very hard for me, at least, to jump right into something like completely into my head, because I think I spend a lot of time detached. So like getting that physical regulation first, I feel like is necessary to be able to anchor if you're going to be able to do any type of visualization. That whole jump right into closing your eyes and counting your breathing, that was never going to work for me. There's a beautiful little book called Meditation Secrets for Women, and she has all sorts of ideas on connecting with your body and doing like walking meditations and things like that. Camille Marine and Lauren Roche is the authors. Other things that I use for grounding, I have sand trays in my office. So a lot of times we'll use sand as a way to connect. That may be something you'd be interested in, of like putting your hands in something like sand. That has a very different way of stimulating the palm. And most people describe, oh, it's cool, it's soft, it's soothing. So it has more like connection points than something that's solid. So you may find that's interesting too. I also have a bowl of little polished stones And that's something you can
Mm.
just dig your hands into and feel like it's substantial and cool. And like even the sound of it feels like rainwater. Even listening to what your visual cues are as a sensory response inside your body. Of if this gives me delight, what does that feel like? Does that feel like a bubbling or a tingle or an uplift or like can you connect your emotions to the actual feeling too? And I find I get a lot of information for myself that way because sensing is my inferior function. So anytime I'm actively trying to create more of a relationship with that, I'm going to be connected much more with my body and my full being's experience in the world.